So a long time ago, we looked at the Ultimate Class Megatron, and I didn't think that was very ultimate. The guy doesn't even have elbows. It only seemed fitting that we kind of continue that trend, and again, this isn't mine, this is on loan to me, but it seemed like it was only fitting there. Wow, I really stammered over that we continued the trend by taking a look at Ultimate Class Bumblebee. Just how ultimate is he? Well, we're gonna find out this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, that's right man, hit that notification bell please, because it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. And we do try to cover a lot of things here. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers, Collectors, NL, the Autobot family, and have a look for me everywhere across social media. And this is Cyberverse Ultimate Class Bumblebee. And much like with the other Ultimate Class figures, on the surface one might argue, well, it's a kid's toy and it's as simple as that, but it's not. This is actually intended really for those folks, parents, guardians, grandparents, that are likely to wonder if this is worth the investment. Is it worth the investment? Just how ultimate is it? Well, naturally, I think everybody that is even mildly familiar with Transformers would know that, hey, you know what? We're going to obviously see a Bumblebee in this line, because we see a Bumblebee in every line. It is what it is, man. Plus, in the Cyberverse series, Bumblebee is, naturally, a major character. This was bound to happen. And I didn't think that the Megatron was that great, largely because of his elbowlessness. He doesn't have any elbows. There you go. The Optimus is definitely better. Not perfect, but better. Well, where does B fall? Is he better than both of them? Does he fall in between them? Is he worse than Megatron? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And since I like to pride myself on potentially being able to admit when I make a mistake, to be fair, I'm going to take a look now at the Ultimate Class Cyberverse Bumblebee. And the last time I looked at an Ultimate Class figure, it was Megatron. And there was a whole story behind that where I got him to replace a missing tire on Punch Counterpunch. Now, I looked at that Megatron all the same in episode, I believe it was 496, if I'm not mistaken. And I said then that that figure was about the size of a traditional leader class figure, but at like a Siege Voyager price point. It was significantly lighter in mass. Significantly. We'll kind of see that again here. And I said then that the way the engineering was and whatnot, it was for a very specific market. It definitely wasn't for the collector market. It definitely wasn't for the experienced kid market. At the same time, it wasn't for the super duper little kid market that would probably be best served by something like Rescue Bots. It was for that market of fan that is kind of too old for Rescue Bots, but not experienced and advanced enough for things like the Siege line, which is really more of a collector line for, you know, I'll say older, experienced kids and adults. This is kind of I think a go-between. Or that's what I said about Megatron. And I said then that his paint apps based on the animation were about a 9. I said that his articulation was only about a 4. The guy doesn't even have elbows. And lacking some other key joints. And I said that his transformation was about a 6 or a 7. And overall I said he was about a 6.5. Like, it's alright. It's alright. But since then, I have learned of a particular 6-year-old who loves that Megatron, and as such I figured, you know what, maybe I've been a little too harsh on him. Maybe they deserve another chance. And that brings us here to Bumblebee. And we're going to begin as we always do and take a quick look at that packaging. And that packaging, man, is exactly what you would expect that packaging to be, where we have you know, the figure here, we have a little artwork down there, we have Windblade Optimus and Bumblebee on the side. On the other side we have Bumblebee in all of his glory. And on the back we have the product images. We can see Megatron and Optimus also like available at the ultimate size price point. What about the instructions? What are the instructions like for these guys? Well, let me put it to you this way. I don't think they're as good as the Siege instructions. They're smaller, they're not quite as clear. When they try and explain how the gimmick works, because all of these have like this spring-loaded attack gimmick. I think Bumblebee's is the sting shot. It shows it, but you kind of have to figure it out yourself, man. And here we have the bee of the hour, the bee with the power, and the first question to ask is, what is the score for his paint apps? It's not bad, it's fairly accurate. The actual animation seems to have some blue lines in on the hips. There's some blue and either black or red detailing, maybe red, like on the pelvis. The rim of the windshield is black. He kind of has like black eyebrows, and that might be it. That might be all that's kind of not quite right here. Overall, it's mostly correct. I guess we should note that these are actually like fake shoulders. That's supposed to be like the front of the cars, but that's sort of down really on his hands. But like they mask it all right. It would have been nice if the bottom bumper section here was black, I suppose. Beyond that, a little bit of detailing down on the feet. Some lights down here, but like for what it is, it's definitely Bumblebee. It's not bad. I'm going to say it's an 8. Overall, an 8 for his look. What about the articulation? Well, remember, the articulation was nothing great with Megatron. What about with B? Well, the first thing to note is these doors can move up and down and in and out. I like that because you can get them out of the way. The head goes all the way around. No real up or down. The shoulder can go up, not all the way around, up about that far. It can go back only about that far. This arm over here, same thing, up about the same height. Back maybe slightly further than the other one. This arm over here, we have a 90-degree elbow and we have a bicep swivel. So I absolutely dig that. And this arm can go well out to the side. We even have like an in and out motion here for the hand. Great arm. The other arm, the one with the gimmick, can go out. It has no elbow, it has nothing. As a matter of fact, we just have like his lower arm molded in here, not even painted, but it's molded there all right. It's there, it's there. Moving down the body, we actually do have a waist on the guy. I respect that, I like that. Out to the side, the legs can go well out to the side. They can go forward respectably far, I guess. Can go back respectably far. No thigh swivel, but we do have a really nice deep knee bend. And we have technically toe tilt because of transformation, but I don't think that you'd really use it. It's better articulation, I think, than Megatron has. Megatron was a 4. I'm going to say this articulation is about a 6.5. It's not bad. That being said, I will note this, that the lower legs are super-duper hollow, man. Like, super-duper hollow. But maybe the flex to the plastic isn't a bad thing. Like, I feel the plastic here, especially after handling Siege figures, and it feels thin, and it feels like a knockoff. However, it does have a little bit of give to it, and maybe if this is intended for kind of smaller hands to handle, maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. So far we have a 10 or 8 for his look, we have a 6.5 for his articulation. The guy right now is about a 7.25. It's alright, a little bit better than Megatron at this point. Now what about that transformation? There are parts that are easy and that I like about it. There are parts that are kind of tricky. Well, one part that's kind of tricky. Maybe a little too tricky. Now the next part obviously is going to be the conversion. But the transformation has some parts that I like, some parts that I don't like. Most of it's okay, but there's a couple of things that like you have to very specifically do. Before we get to that though, in robot mode, I just want to show the bee sting shot or whatever it's called. There's a button over right here, and when we hit it, There you go, that comes out and it's his spring-loaded gimmick. Now, do not push this in and then try and put this back. It won't close. You need to close this up and then push it back to lock it back into position. Just wanted to note that because it's easy enough to push it in first and wonder why isn't this closing properly. If you do press this and then you push it in and it locks and you can't close it, what do you do now? Simple. You just push the button again and it ejects this piece. Then you close it up and push it back in. Little nuisance, but it could be a big pain for somebody. Now what about that conversion? Well, to begin, we're going to straighten up his head. And a lot of the secret here is in how we deal with the shoulders and these door wings. I'm going to actually sort of reposition this a little bit because his arms are going to kind of go above his head, and I want to make sure that everything is clear. Then we'll get to the bottom of the bot after we have the upper body done. Okay, I know it might seem a little bit strange being up here, but bear with me, you'll see where we're going in a minute. We will pull out the chest. Now, pull the whole thing back, but do it by the head, not the chest, because the head is sort of locked in there, so if you pull it back, the whole thing will come. Then you open out this flap, it will be the hood later on, and just leave that on the back for now. Now we will deal with those shoulders. The key here to all of this working. Now, the shoulders basically will go up and then you have to twist this piece around to the right orientation. Same on the other side. But these door wings can get in the way, so you may have to adjust them slightly so that they're out of the way. So we'll just straighten that one back for now. We're going to bring this up over and then bring this piece up over. And then bring this forward. Now if you didn't already push the hand in, push the hand in. Then bring this door down. Leave it open for now. And that's that side done. That's the easy side. Now comes the tricky side. The tricky side is this side because where we don't have any elbow or anything, we need to be able to get the shoulder up past the door, all the way up. Make sure the door is down, out of the way as much as possible, and then rotate this piece. It's easy for pieces to knock into each other there. Bring that door down and also leave it open. Now you will notice that we have a section here that's sort of up and out of the way, but you can tell that it's supposed to come down. When we pull this out, it's spring loaded. This is where the nuisance comes in, and we have we have like a round piece in here and a little gray piece that my finger is tapping off of now. That little gray piece needs to go kind of pegged into this piece. So you need to be able to bring this all the way down. It's a nuisance. Bring it down, peg it in. And then there's a peg and a couple of holes on this side. Peg that all together. Turn the guy around, and then we can bring down his hood and tab it in. Ah, see, that popped out. Here, we'll just close it up and bring it back in. That's the upper body done. We're still not going to close the doors yet because we do need to deal with the lower body next. And here we have one of the legs where you can see exactly how the hinges work in here. The kind of common phrase used here is that we will combine or wars the leg. But I feel like that this, more than appealing to the general collecting populace, will probably more appeal to parents or grandparents trying to help a kid figure this out. And you probably don't know what combiner warsing a leg means, so I'm going to show you what it means. We open this up. We open the whole thing up. This whole hinge will collapse and go up. Same on this side. We open it up and this whole hinge will collapse and go up. When we do that, both of these legs will tab into each other, and then there's a little hook right there and a little hook right there that will go in under the hood. Or not the hood, the roof, I'm sorry. Somehow I feel like even the most unfamiliar of people have an idea of how this will go. We're going to fold this piece up, and we're going to fold this piece up. And they sort of tab in underneath the body. We're going to bring back the two little feet, I'm going to make sure that that is tabbed in under the body. And we're going to bring this door in. Flex it a little bit to get it past that side. On the other side, bring the door in. Flex it a little bit to get it past that side. Close this back up, and boom, here we have Bumblebee in his car mode. Just for the record, here's how he looks underneath, if you were curious what yours should look like. And Bumblebee is indeed a nice looking lad, and I will give credit where credit is due. We actually have paint on the rims, blue, which is accurate. And if we actually turn the guy around, we actually have tail lights painted in. That's spectacular. You don't see that anymore. The windows all painted in. Autobot symbol up here. He rolls well. The transformation, it's not quite as simple as Megatron, because you do have to kind of have that spring-loaded section held while you peg it in, and I think that's a bit of a nuisance. The Megatron had a conversion of about a 6 or 7, we'll say a 7. This guy's conversion, slightly more of a nuisance because of that. It might pose a challenge for some people. I would say that his conversion, because of that spring-loaded gimmick, which I don't think it needed, you could have just given him 2 normal arms and it'd be a great Transformer toy. Didn't need the gimmick. I'm going to say that his transformation overall is about a 6. This guy was a 7.25. He got a 6 for that. I'm going to say that Bumblebee is about a 6.75. He's a little bit better overall than Megatron because the articulation is better, because the paint is probably a little more accurate, and the conversion isn't too bad except for that one area of his arm. That's about it. Otherwise, not a whole lot here to complain about. And I, personally, am not even a B fan, and even I think he's alright. And here we are once again, and yeah, it's a Bumblebee. It's a Bumblebee. The coloring is pretty great, all things considered. I mean, I don't think the Cyberverse line is known for particularly stellar paint applications, but they certainly do enough that you know the character, and this fills the bill. Would I like a little bit more black maybe around the eyes or around the frame of his windshield there? Yeah, sure. Are there things in terms of the articulation that I don't like? This arm. That's the only thing. If this arm was, say, a regular arm like this, where this kind of spring-loaded piece was just on the back of it even, while it would be a bulky arm, it would be a highly functional arm, because this can do it all, and I have no problem with it in the least, other than the plastic feels kind of thin. Is that necessarily a bad thing in this case? Well, I'm not sure. The thinner plastic might allow there to be a little more flex, which could lead to less breakage issues. Of course, that being said, just the fact that it's thinner plastic might lead to more breakage issues. I'm not really sure. I see what could be a potential benefit of it, but I'm not 100% sure it's a potential benefit of it. There's no thigh swivel, so I find that I am always concerned about potentially breaking the knee joint because I do want to twist the leg, and you can't do that. Same up here. When we go to the conversion, you lift off the chest, but if you try and pull back from the chest, you're definitely going to snap it off from in right here on the neck. Once you lift the chest off, you really need to pull back on the head, because otherwise you're going to break it. The doors, again, they're fine, but there's not a lot of plastic around the door hinge here that it swivels on, and I have a concern that maybe it will break. There's things here that I don't think it's going to break. It doesn't feel flimsy enough that it's going to break, but if you or a child or whoever, somebody just unfamiliar with Transformers, handles this incorrectly, it's going to snap right off. You need to handle it correctly. It's simple as that. There's a lot to like here. Is it ultimate? Absolutely not. And perhaps the thing that makes it the least ultimate is this whole piece here, where it's spring-loaded. I feel like it's not the easiest thing for kids. Yes, you can get it down, and yes, you can hold it in. But if you let go of it, it just snaps back. It doesn't lock into position there. So you bring it down, you hold it in, then you need to bring this shoulder up, and then once it's up, you got to twist this whole piece around. Although it's holding in there right now. I think that's luck. I don't know. I feel like the way the spring is here, I feel like people unfamiliar with Transformers or Kids who handle it are going to have a challenge converting this guy because of that one gimmick. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong and they will have no problem, but I could see the potential being there for it. At the end of the day, I feel like this. It's a fine Bumblebee, but I feel like it sort of falls between the Optimus and the Megatron. It's alright. It's not quite as good as the Optimus, but it's definitely not as bad as the Megatron. And honestly, if that Megatron had elbows, one simple joint. If that Megatron had elbows, I think that Megatron would be the best of the bunch. Anyway, let me know what you think about Cyberverse Ultimate Bumblebee. Do you believe he's ultimate? Do you buy into the whole marketing concept of him being ultimate? I don't. I'm very leery of it, but that's just me. And now you know what I think. You know I love to hear what you guys think. As always, thanks for dropping by. Give me some of your extremely valuable time. You know I very much appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, man. What are you waiting for? If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, then please use the donation link that's down in the description. Don't forget that you make a difference somehow, some way, each and every day. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, or right here the old-fashioned way, man, inside the videos.